Hello YouTube, good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hope it is a productive day for you, wherever you are, whatever you're going through. I wanted to mention something as well that I think people need to hear. I know I for sure have been one who needed to hear this. While you are going through spiritual battles, do not expect immediate results. You gotta be patient. You gotta be patient with how things are gonna play out. This is just like law. This is life. This is law. This is how it works. If you rush yourself, you're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna quit things too soon. You need faith. And behind your faith, you need actions that align with what you're asking for. You also need patience with yourself. Oh, my shirt looks dirty. I've been working, please forgive. You need actions that align with what you are asking for. So if you're asking the universe for something that realistically you know is going to take time to build, take your time, build, do the work, and be blind about it. If you're asking the universe for something like being free from gang stalking, yeah, that's going to take a little while. That's going to take specific action. Sorry, that's going to take untying a lot of knots. That's going to take a lot of moving parts. That is not a very easy process. I can tell you that myself. Two cards came out with quotes on, I usually take these cards as what I'm going to be talking about, but the first one says, immersion and intuition. When you reach the end of what you should know, you will be at the beginning of what you should sense. I talk all about intuition. I talk all about using your judgment. I talk all about using your gut in situations. So that's what that's about. And the second one says dignity. A wise man has dignity without pride, and a fool has pride without dignity. And I feel like I'm going through that situation right now. I want to come back to this card that says, when you reach the end of what you should know, you'll be at the beginning of what you should sense. There is, in the spiritual community, there is a lot of like emphasis and pride, as there should be. It would be normal to have pride in regards to, like, if you have spiritual gifts and things like that. It would be normal to have pride in regards to that. My biggest thing about that is I want people who feel like they don't have spiritual gifts to not worry about it. If you're not, even if you do not know how to do spell work and stuff like that, don't worry about that. That makes no difference, okay? You're vulnerable whether or not you have spiritual gifts or not, and that's the reality. First of all of us are subject to karmic law without exception. There is no exception. You're in a skin suit, you're a spirit, whatever you are, there is karmic law that applies to everything. Now, from what I can tell, spirits usually don't violate karmic law out and out. They will usually find a way around it, whether they get a person to do something instead of them doing it directly, or they convince somebody of something, or They create situations around people where the natural Spitfire reaction is to do what they want. And they'll continue creating those scenarios around said person until the person goes through that door. That's how I see spirits do things. Spirits have sense, they do not break spiritual law. From what I see, I haven't seen spirits out and out do dumb crap, for lack of a better words. Human beings do that all the time. I also feel like people think, and there is ego in the spiritual world, and I can see how it could happen. When you walk around spiritually, you want to be confident. You want to be confident in what you're doing. You want to be confident in the work that you're putting out, whatever the case is. But oftentimes people get overconfident, and it's really important to not get overconfident. I know in my situation, there are people who battle in the spirit. They battle people's ancestors, and they have defeated people's ancestors in spiritual protection. And so it makes them so confident that they think that they are gods. And sometimes when they hear the word ancestors, they always assume it might be human beings that used to live, and they don't people are being schooled right now. Not just in my situation, obviously collectively, because collectively they're talking about the same things happening. There are people who they shuffle cards, they do tarot, and they can't discern between the voices that they're hearing and the advice that they're hearing. And they can't discern that the advice that they're being given is faulty, or the information that they're being given is faulty. When I first started shuffling decks, I knew that right away, that what was communicating with me was not who I wanted to communicate with. But I also recognized too, it was poor spiritual hygiene. And so when spiritually gifted people are initiated in a way by spirit, they're not given the same kind of information that should be given if they are initiated, let's say, with a normal society of human beings who can say, these are the proper procedures of what you should be doing. So a lot of times people learn by trial and error when spirit ordains you, when spirit wakes you up without other people controlling your ascension. So oftentimes I notice readers, they read with no spiritual protection, with no sort of spiritual boundaries. They have gifts, yes, but they don't know who's giving them the advice. And that's a huge problem. So oftentimes that's how people are led astray. When you're shuffling decks, when you're doing anything like that, it is divination, and you need tools of protection around you. You need barriers created around you. You need, and you can see like people who work with certain entities, they know this. So when they give instructions on how to do work, part of the instruction should be about how do I protect myself? Do you need to be sitting in a circle? Do you need sage going? Do you need crystals around you? Like, what do you need? So there needs to be, if you are a reader, or because I know readers watch me, I know for a fact that they do. If you are a reader, you need to be protecting yourself when you're reading, because oftentimes the readers are reading garbage. If your reading starts out talking about something specific, and then a foreign energy enters the reading, and now 80 to 90% of your reading is being bombarded by another energy, you need to protect your space. You need to clean your space so that your readings remain focused. You need to also balance out whatever abilities you have with common sense and intuition. People also go into spell work like that without common sense, intelligence, intuition, following their gut and making things make sense. It needs to work together, all of it, so that it is done well. You can't expect to be gay, not attracted to women, and want to do a love spell on someone heterosexual. Hello? You're not attracted, they're not attracted, no natural attraction, and forcing it is not gonna work. That's like an example of common sense. It's like people just do anything and then sit there like, people paid money for this. You know, maybe it worked. I don't know before. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe it does work. I don't know. I don't do spell work. But for me, it's like, you can't do love spells while spiritually attacking at the same time. You can't beg for forgiveness while punching somebody at the same time. It's like they gotta hold hands a little bit, you know? It's like in the physical, you come to someone and you say, hey, I really like your outfit. Let's be friends because I want to get into your social network because I want to influence you. And then turn around and be like, I hate your outfit. I hate you. And it's like, whoa, does that work on other people? The slap, the sweet and spicy, I want to be your friend, but the first minute that you watch a reading, I want to punch you in your face right away. Ooh, I'm going to come back for more. Like, you know, we got to use common sense. Sometimes this is what's confusing always to me about what's going on here. Like, I don't know. And you know what? I also reserve the right to feel like maybe I don't understand. Maybe I just don't understand. And maybe I'm new here. I am definitely new to the spiritual community. And I'm looking around in the same way I look around everywhere. Like, what is going on? This is lunacy. This is lunacy. You know, I know in the Bible they said that they turned water into wine, right? So, you can turn water into wine. Don't get me wrong. I'm using this as a metaphor. You can turn water into wine. But imagine having wine that you made to the best of your ability and then putting some work on it. How much better would that be? How much sweeter would that be? You gotta give God something to bless is what I'm trying to say. I'm giving examples. Like, this is the point that I'm trying to say. When you pray, you gotta give God something to bless because it is co-creation. This is what using work is. Co-creation. Not taking a crap in your hands and being like, please turn it into bread. The spirits are looking at you like, they put something on the altar, so let's just do what we can do with this. Like, to me, that's how I feel. Because me personally, it's like, I'm not a spirit. But if I were a spirit and people put certain things in front of my face, I'm just telling people now, when it comes to how spirits operate, they do not operate the same way for everybody. This has been the message that I've been giving out for a very long time. Even lower entities, the lowest of the lowest of the lowest entities, the lowest of the lowest, do not give same favor to everyone. There are some low entities that do a whole lot with some people, and some people are in cahoots with low energies, still broke, still losing, still not getting. It's like through Lynn's eyes said, it might be a you problem. Because it's like, it doesn't matter if you go to the light or the dark, your character, it carries. Spirits do not have vessels where their memory gets erased. Your reputation, it precedes you. The same way on earth, people look at you like, here this one comes. That's even worse in the spirit. Take that reaction times 10, because human beings can be fooled, but your energy enters first. Majority of people that work in the dark don't even work with the spirits properly anyway. People's characters are garbage either way. So it doesn't matter if you followed the instructions on the recipe. They know they have to tread lightly with you because they know you're fake. A liar, a schemer, and in the spirit, it's the energy that matters. In the spirit, it's your character that matters. It's your character. Being human is already tough because there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way. People think it's just one or two things. People approach this spiritual world like buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. They approach human beings the same way, buy and sell. I'll pay you for this, I'll pay you for that. I'll bribe you for this, I'll bribe you for that. I prefer to be feared than loved. I prefer people fear me that really see the real me, really love me. Some people can go somewhere with $0 and thrive. And some people, it's like, if they don't have treats, the dog does not sit. That's how it goes. Some people, their familiars don't even want to protect them. It's a waste of energy. Like, to what end? Because would they do something for free? For me, no. No. Some people in the spirit realm, their only connections are when they put something on the altar. And some people, there are days where they might not even have something on the altar and the spirit's like, they didn't even pray. They forgot to pray, they forgot to ask, and 3 spirits show up like, what do you need? What do you need us to do? This is the difference. Some people cannot stop lying, cheating, scheming. If a gun was to their head, they couldn't stop. Spirits already know your energy for lifetimes. It is what it is. You guys come here and repeat the same things over and over. And now that you're in trouble, you're looking at yourself like, where are all these spirits? Where's the promise? Where was the guarantees? Where were the guarantees that were made? Why are some people more coveted in the spiritual realm than others? Give God something to bless. Give God something to bless. You come here with a character that is in the negatives already. That karmic bank doesn't have anything in it. You're already in debt. And a lot of people keep somersaulting further into karmic debt and then blaming other people for their situations. Be very real with yourself. I know some people like to feel like they're very cunning, but balance everything with common sense. Balance everything with common sense. Humility takes you a long way. Understanding your true rank and your true position in life takes you a very long way. Don't be entering the spirit realm from a vessel acting like you're the God, acting like you're the elder, like you're the senior, not recognizing your place in the order of things. There are people here who refuse to understand that God is God. Like, God is just patient. This is again one of the things that I really do respect about the Most High. And I say that in a singular sense, and there is more than one. What I respect most is God's humility and how humble God is and how patient God is. Because God will really sit back through some craziness that even I am like, what on earth is this? And this is the thing. This is why they talk about laughing last. Because when you're in the beginning of a situation, the party who sits back calmly watching you, what about that makes you feel safe? That someone doesn't react to your behavior. That's the opposite of safe. God is the one that sits back and doesn't have a reaction to when people do certain things and just says, relax. It's okay, just relax. Let's go through this. Let's walk through this. So when you're the person who sits back and you observe and you watch and you learn, and you may even go as far as to smile, to nod, to agree. You know, sometimes I speak for myself. I don't like being quoted in nonsense. So I say okay and I smile and I remove myself. If someone's gonna quote me in something, it has to be a lie. I don't like being quoted and I don't want the confrontation because I don't like using my energy in places where I'm not gonna see a return on my investment. And I recommend everybody do that. If you are gonna go into a confrontation, let it be something that you've sat and thought about and that you're prepared to do, and you're prepared to go to the end of it, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs you. Be very intentional about what you get involved in. But if it's meaningless things here and there, it makes no sense. And it's like dealing with a situation where, you know, you're dealing with a bunch of serpents. It's like, go for the head and forget the confrontations with all the minions at the bottom. This is just nonsense meant to deplete your energy. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. This is my advice. Everybody can do whatever they want, but my advice, leave conflict that is just meaningless alone. You do not want to be quoted, seen, whatever, in back and forth with people. Not worth it. When you get to the head and you identify where the head is, that is something that's worth taking on when the problem is persistent and will not leave. But as far as when it comes to what you're working on, that is where your energy is supposed to be. As far as your prayers, that is where your energy is supposed to be. As far as your connections with spirit, that is where your energy is supposed to be. Spirit leads and you follow. Spirit makes a determination and you follow, because otherwise, what are you here for? If you are in a situation that most of us are in, where you cannot see your way through, you can't see around you, then you're depending on spirit. That means spirit leads. And so you must understand your place in the hierarchy. And when you do give spirit something and you say, you know, I want to find a job, you don't just show up to the interview having not researched the company, not dressed appropriately, with the wrong attitude, disheveled and discombobulated. You need to give them something to sweeten up for you, something to bless. As you go through your journey, your actions, your intentions, everything must be aligned in the same place. Your energy, and it will take time. Because if your energy and your intention is to leave gang stalking, is to leave a situation where you feel trapped, of course it's going to take time for your energy to align with it, for you to feel that it's possible, for you to feel the peace, for you to feel the calm in your situation. Yes, it is going to take time for the energy to align. The energy must align. From an aligned place, a place that you believe this is going to happen, from a place of confidence, that's where a lot of things really start picking up speed and steam and picking up momentum, because it's your energy that you're giving off. So not believing in something, not seeing the vision, if you yourself don't see the vision, how can you sell it appropriately? And that goes for everything that you're doing in every facet of your life. It is important. Please, all of it must come together. the common sense, the intelligence, everything, and always ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why does somebody want this? Why is this happening? Why is someone asking me to do this? There are situations where in the beginning, most situations where things go awry. After you reach about the fours in your situation, you get to the fives. Fives are where things start looking dim. It is going to look gruesome. It is going to look insurmountable. It is going to look like you cannot get over this situation. You are at the beginning, well, you're technically in the middle of a journey. Wherever you are in your battle, you are in the middle of it at the point that it looks the worst. You got to give it a lot of time. You got to be very patient. You got to be willing to go through it. Intentions very clear, trajectory very clear, destination very clear. You know, specifically when I say this, I think about people who have given up their freedom and are situations where they're in situations where they're bound up. And so these energies have them fairly tightly under control. And these situations look insurmountable. Situations like this, they require time. They require patience. They require a lot of learning. And unfortunately, you're under tight surveillance in the interim of your battle. Give me a second here. Let me go get me some more sage. Back. So, why I was talking about pride in the beginning of what I was saying is it's very easy, and this is a lesson I had to learn for myself, okay? It's very easy to look at a situation and say, listen, I have a third eye. My third eye is open. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. I don't need anybody to give me advice. There are also times where somebody has been doing something for a longer time, and I always say, like, with the level of information that I come on here and I come and talk about, I'm not really gonna be telling people how to do spell work. It's not something I practice. I think spell work is a trap. I like to work with spirits. There's a difference. People might think it's the same thing, but it's not. It's not, and it's very apparent in the way that their life is going. They think they're working with spirits, but what they're doing is they're taking matters into their own hands and they're forcing things, and they're responsible for their actions and not the spirit. They have to pay for things, not the spirit. So, they have a lot of our people trapped. When people come online with spiritual gifts, it's not just like, you know, a future where you should have been this or you should have been that or you should have had this or you should have had that. You have spiritual gifts that you don't even know you have. You haven't even seen yourself, who you are, and or what your abilities are, what your capabilities are, and they triangulate you. They make fast friends with you, they love bomb you, and before you know it, you lose your spiritual protection, and that's how they get you very easily. They study you for not even for long. They study you, they look at what your weaknesses are, the things that you haven't healed, they pinpoint that, They work on that, and then they trap people. They trap readers, they trap psychics, they trap people with abilities, with gifts. They siphon off of them, they take away their abilities, they do things. I think that they collect gifts from people. I think they do so much. I think it's horrible. So, and they will do things like bribing people to give false readings, things like that. Like, you're put on here for a reason, and things like that lose your protection. When you raise your hands to people spiritually, whether or not it is warranted or not, whether or not it is valid or not, you raise your hands on people spiritually, and it's like, especially when the person is innocent and you get yourself involved in things that you shouldn't, it's like getting involved with people under judgment. Like, regular conversations about like go to God for forgiveness and atone for your sins and whatever, none of it applies to people who are already under judgment. Go to God and plead and whatever, it doesn't matter when you're under judgment. When you're under judgment and God has decided that this has to end, everything that touches people under judgment has to go with it. And that includes people with gifts, and they know that, and they tie themselves to people. And sometimes by the time you realize you're in bondage, by the time you realize you no longer have your freedom, it's too late. By the time you realize your prayers are no longer working, by the time you realize your connection is blocked and things aren't aligning for you in the same way, it's too late. This is why, forget spiritual gifts. You really have to balance with common sense. You have to balance with, okay, my third eye is saying this is okay, but common sense, does this make sense to do? Does this feel right? Should I be involving myself in something like this? If people are meant to wake up, because I'm speaking about specific situations that I've seen. If people are meant to wake up and I'm giving these messages and these messages are meant to be good messages, then should I really be doing this? Should I really be doing that? Look, you got to observe, you got to make sense of things. And I say this to people newly awakening and people who maybe have already awoken and found themselves in situations. Now, I'm not God. I can't tell people if they can be forgiven for leading God's people astray. I can't tell anybody that. I don't know. That's the truth. I don't know. I think it's something that is fairly unforgivable, in my opinion, because when people are waking up, they need help. They need help figuring out what the heck is going on. What is all of this about? So when you're giving readings and the readings are faulty on purpose, and you're aiding people in sabotaging people, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, whether it's for money, investment, whatever the case is, it's like you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to be honest. You have a responsibility to do what you're put here to do. So I can't say whether or not forgiveness is going to be granted for things like that, but I can definitely say it's like, this is why my message of I wouldn't sit on my laurels and be too confident just because I have spiritual gifts, and I don't say I as in me, but I say I as in, being general. Just because you have spiritual gifts, I wouldn't worry about that helping. I've seen too many people with spiritual gifts find themselves trapped and making silly decisions and losing their protection, losing their gifts, and losing their ability to protect themselves. You got to use common sense. Common sense is you are in a position of leadership. You shouldn't be working against anybody, no matter how you feel, especially if it's something petty, especially if it's people on the internet that you don't actually know. in real life that you don't have a relationship with. In what world? Anyway, it's very sad and it's very disheartening when I see the number of people who are giving positive readings who very easily are convinced to bribe people. It's very scary, as a matter of fact. It's actually scary. I don't know how people are convinced to be in their lower nature like this. I don't know what the process is, but I just want people to know, and the last thing I'm gonna say on the topic for today is, if you do it once, you gotta do it for the rest of this lifetime. And I think people do not realize that. This deal, this is like a pact that you're making, where the first time you do it, you're going to be chained to doing it forever. The first time you troll, you're gonna have to troll forever. The first time you gang stalk, you're gonna have to gang stalk forever. And it starts very like, oh, you have a choice, and then that illusion of choice vanishes very quickly, and you don't know what you're a part of. So then it becomes micromanaging of every single part of your life. It becomes micromanaging of your love life, who you can be friends with, where you can go, the hours you have to work, the amount of money you can make, the amount of production you can have in your life, like how far you can go in life. You're going to be stuck in position for the rest of your life making these kind of dark deals. You got to be really careful here. This to me looks like an international network of witchcraft, an international network, and it spans every walk of life, every class of people, everything. So be very careful. Be very careful when you guys are making fast friends, letting people into your heart too quickly, aligning with people's troubles, their problems, their conflicts with other people that have nothing to do with you, that you haven't investigated. Just be careful about how you use your good karma, because people are using others out here energetically and spiritually. If you are in a situation where you know it wasn't through any fault of your own, or you feel confident that you can leave this situation, whether you feel confident or not, but you don't feel like you were in the wrong, that is subjective. Some people really do evil things and they really don't think they're in the wrong. So take it how you will. But if you're being genuine and you just genuinely don't feel like you're in the wrong, it's going to be a process if you're already on the inside to get out. It is going to be a process. It is not going to be easy. And I have to continue saying that because that is what's realistic. That's what is realistic to say. It's not realistic to think that you're in the clutches of these people that have so many connections, so many pre-built networks. They've been doing this for decades. For sure, they've been doing this for decades, for sure. And that you think that getting out is going to be easy. You're going to have to fight your way out. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to relate what I'm going to talk about today to kind of an analogy. And this is the situation as I see it and as I have seen it in my city and in my personal experience. So this is how I see the situation. I kind of see it like the way they approach people. People are never going to, well, not never, but people are usually going to come to you with a dirty offer, with a deal that doesn't make sense. They're usually going to come to you in a way where it's fun, it's happy, it's like, think back to jobs where They couldn't come and directly tell you, like, okay, we can pay you this much, and it's an attractive salary, and there's this much vacation time, and etc., and it's a positive work environment, and you know, this much health benefits, and something concrete that can really change your life. In the absence of that, they're gonna come and tell you it's a fun environment. Everybody here gets along. We give snacks every Friday. We have this, that, and the third. But the salary is crap, and it's probably a toxic environment, and there are a whole ton of drawbacks. But they're gonna paint the picture like this is gonna be so amazing. When these people approach you, they always want to take you out to some club. There's always some event. They always want to do some favor for you, some knuckleheaded, meaningless favor that you could have done yourself. And they want to force it on you. Can we do your website? Can we do your marketing? Can we do this? Can we do that? Because they just want a way to lynch themselves in, to knot themselves in to whatever it is that you have going on. They don't bring any real value. They want to control what's going on to somehow hold it over you. So if they're doing your marketing and you don't listen, well, let's claw back the marketing until you fall back in line. They want to control what's going on. Come work for our company. Come do this. Come do that. It's always something where it's like we're providing you some benefit. You need to be careful. There's an African proverb that says, beware of the shirtless man that wants to give you a shirt, gift you a shirt. How can someone give you something that they don't have? So you gotta wonder to yourself, do they have a legitimate business where they're legitimately marketing it? And if so, why would they want to come help me? I've had people come to my business and say, can I do your marketing? Oh, okay, let me see your page. They have like 300 followers. If you can't do it for yourself, what makes you think you could do it for me? Oh, I could do it. I have 200,000 followers, but none of this is real. It's blatantly fake. Let's go through the followers. It's fake pages from India, from China, from wherever. Look at the followers. Look at who's liking versus who's commenting. It's smoke and mirrors. It's not even hard to figure out. All of the influencers, everybody, it's all BS. It's all made up. It's thinly veiled. You just got to take a couple more steps to investigate. You just got to take your time. Why is a 50-something-year-old Caucasian lady inviting me to a club? What am I gonna do if I met you in a business setting 5 seconds ago? That sounds targeted. That sounds like a plot. That sounds like a harebrained scheme that they came up with on the cell phone on the drive there. That wasn't even mapped out correctly. They didn't even send somebody that you might have something in common with. So you gotta take a couple steps back, always. Whenever people offer you things, you see, these are things that from childhood, sometimes you gotta teach your kids, you gotta learn not to take favors and accept things from strangers. Countries where spell work is very common, people are taught that. They're even taught to be scared of money. When you see money on the floor, you don't pick it up, because that's the easiest way to attach some energy to you, is to give you something that you can't say no to, and money's the number one. So let's invite you into a network where money is guaranteed. Your products are gonna sell because all of us purchase from each other. Let's put you in a situation where you're gonna get guaranteed followers, guaranteed people taking readings from you, guaranteed this, guaranteed that, and let's skip the hard work. This is important for TIs to hear. It is important for spiritual people to hear that are over in these countries where it's like spell work and all of that is not ingrained in our culture enough for us to know what to well, I'm not going to say us, because I come from a place where this is how people operate. but where you're gonna know how to move around. People who do spell work do not need you to be their enemy. They just need a source of energy. They may need something quickly. They may need somebody who's innocent, who probably doesn't have a lot of karma. And the most valuable people are people who don't have a lot of karma, who have a pure heart, who have an innocent spirit. So this is first things first to be careful of. There are people who walk around here hunting for food, hunting for fresh people to take advantage of. So think about a situation with someone who is just brought into a situation. They meet one person. This person is adamant on them meeting their friends. Now they're a part of some fake friend group. They ignore all the red flags. They ignore the weirdness of the situation, the hot and coldness of people, the people that they're in vicinity with that make no sense. They ignore a lot of things. You know, you find yourself very easily in a situation where people can lace your drink, people can, you know, get you addicted to things, put you in weird situations. That is what's happening here. But think about it on an energetic level. Think about yourself coming as a normal person, and now before you know it, with these fake friends and these fake situations, you're now a junkie. You're now a spiritual junkie. And don't think about this too specific. But I just mean in terms of being a junkie, like someone who has lost everything, has lost their family, has lost their network, has lost their job, just has lost everything, starting from aligning with these energies. So people find themselves in a position where you started coming around certain people and now you're losing everything. Or now things don't work. Now things don't work. And you know those abusive situations where they want to get rid of your real family, your real friends, your real support system, and trap you in something. That's a nightmare. So that is the first thing that they do. And before you know it, it's like you're living on the streets. You have nothing good going for you. You have no friends. They make you take these falls and have to start back from scratch over and over and over and over again. And they've done that to my business in the very, very beginning, where it's like all these customers came around, all these people came around that were not genuine. And before I knew it, my page was being reported multiple times, and then my page got shut down. And then I started over and I said, you know what? This time I'm going to learn to sell. I'm going to learn to do certain things, and I'm going to move forward with myself. And thankfully that happened at a time where it was like it didn't affect too much, but it happened fairly quickly. And that is where you turn down their offers. That is what they do to you. They want to put you down on your face and run off. In a situation like this, you find yourself in that situation, and I'm really talking to people who are victims of this. People have come around, they've taken advantage of you. It's not like you've agreed to do anything negative to anyone. When you find yourself in a situation like this, I want you to understand that that does not mean that you're spiritually alone. It just means that you're spiritually not tapped in. And it doesn't mean, tapping in doesn't mean you have a specific gift of being, you know, a clairaudient or psychic or anything. It does not mean that, because people take that to be like what it is. I'm talking about the general population of people. General people. It doesn't mean that you are alone. It just means that you're spiritually unaware. And a lot of times what saves you from salvation is being unaware of your spiritual protection and your spiritual help. Spirituality has nothing to do with your personal beliefs. I need to repeat that. The world is a spiritual place. It has nothing to do with what you believe or not. Whether or not you believe in electricity, electricity is working. Whether or not you know exactly how your car starts from the time you push to start or put your key in to the time the engine comes on doesn't matter. It's still happening. This is how spirituality is. Whether or not you believe in it, are aware of it, or acknowledge it, it is still happening around you. But without accepting it, embracing it, finding your place in it, finding out how co-creation works, people can take advantage of your ignorance. You only need black magic when you are devoid of true spiritual connection or unable to vibrate in a high. These are the people that need black magic. Once you start needing black magic, you will forever need black magic. That is the first trap. It is the first trap. Once you work high vibrationally, you only really need to know how to cleanse. If that's as far as you want to go, you only really need to know how to not accept energy that is not yours. If you want to graduate on top of that, you might want to know how to transcend energy. You might want to know, not transcend, transmute energy. You might want to know how to really work with energy. You might want to know how to really work with spirit guides, how to really communicate. And that is the point. That is the point. Because not everybody is going to be equipped to work with spirit in the same way. Not everybody is going to be capable of doing the same things naturally anyway. But you evolve through lifetimes, and you get to a place where that is the point of getting to a place where you get better and better and better and better. So you finding yourself at rock bottom is not the end of your chapter. It is not the end. Let me describe what that looks like. You're in a situation right now where they successfully stole from you. It's been a while. They successfully trapped you. It might also be a while. And your ancestors are like on the outside looking in, hoping and praying that you find yourself spiritually, that you find them, that you tap in, and that you have the strength to go through it. You being in there, you know that this is going to be the fight of your life to get out. You know it because of how tightly they have you bound up. You know that these people can sense your thoughts, your energies, and everything else. Perhaps you're even scared to pray because every time you pray, it's a problem. They start on you. Why am I telling you that? Because they attempt to do this to me every single time. For 2 years, from day one, they've been trying to stop prayers and meditation. My message last night was, you gotta be prepared to be the person that is so hell-bent on your freedom that if a part of your body gets caught, you're telling the others you gotta hack it off because I'm not staying here. Be it a foot, a finger, a hand, hack it off. We gotta go. So that means at the onset of you making a decision while you're in here, that you gotta be willing to let go of any and everything to get out. Hack it off. What does that look like spiritually or energetically? Family, friends, places, anything. Anything that would impede you from your freedom has got to go. Relationships, anything. And that's really a very tough thing because these people understand how soul ties and energetic cords work. So even things like having children in there, that's something that I noticed they strategically like to do. They like for people to have a whole bunch of children with karmics. They like to do that kind of thing, and it really puts someone in a situation where they're going to second guess, like, am I going to be cut off from my kids forever? Whatever the case, I can't speak to that because that is not of my experience, so I'm not qualified. That's between people and God, or whoever they, your ancestors, your spirit guides. That's between, I cannot speak to that. It's a tough thing. It's a tough call. However, it just boils down to how bad you want something. And if you're willing to stay, this is slavery. If you are energetically bound to a situation, there's shackles on you. These shackles are just the same as if they had you chained up to a basement. It's the same. Energetically, you can roam the world, but you cannot be free. You could go to another country, but you cannot be free. You cannot run from this problem. You got to address it. You got to deal with it. Because you are going. The issue lies with you spiritually, energetically. You find yourself in this situation, and it literally is kind of like being a junkie on the streets for a long time. And knowing how difficult rehab is going to be. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be tough. Whether it's withdrawals, it's like, imagine you're going to be confined to a rehab center. You're going to be going through withdrawals. You're going to have to change so much that's going to be very difficult for you to go through. You're probably going to be locked up a greater, part of the day. Then they're going to make you open up in therapy, things that you're not ready to talk about. I mean, the whole reason you were using drugs in the first place is because you were mentally running away from something. And after all of that, now you got to rebuild your life and reface the world that you didn't want to face. You're going to have to reface people who are going to take issue with you for things you did while you were under the influence. And so a lot of times it's like, you might see pictures, videos of yourself of things you did under the influence. That's going to be mortifying. And you got to pick up the pieces. For a lot of people, it's easier just to stay. It is the same thing when you're bound up in these situations. You think it's easier just to stay. The burden of leaving, the pressure of leaving this situation spiritually, it's for a time. And then you're free and you can move forward. But this is for a time. It is going to be that tough. It is. But it is for a time. And you have to look at the time period that it takes for you to get out as an investment in yourself. And you got to be confident in the amount of time that it takes. You got to be patient with yourself. No matter how long it's taking, no matter how bad it looks, you got to continue looking forward. You got to be patient and you got to stay in the fire. That is very important. It's like, I don't know, the best thing that comes to mind right now is like quitting the makeup when it's like halfway through, when you're just doing all the contour and it looks like you have tribal face paint on and it looks crazy. That's not the time to walk away. That's not the time to quit. You got to take your time and you got to blend it out. You got to make it look good. This is exactly how it works. I apologize about all the smoke, guys. This is how it works. Whether you are leaving, and to me, it's like now I'm at the point where I talk to people who are both on the inside of being gang stalked and stuck, a slave every day, and people who are targeted. To me, it's not even the same thing. I feel like people who are doing the gang stalking are even in a worse predicament than people who are targeted. I know it's worse. I know it's worse. I can see it. I can very clearly see that it's worse. So if you find yourself in this situation, I want to say you're going to want to take more time. You're going to want to take more time making the decision to leave, getting that resolve strong, getting rid of the fear that is holding you back of starting on this journey. When you start on this journey, you gotta keep going no matter what happens. You can't look back. It is worse to look back and go back in because it's going to take a lot more confidence the next time you decide to leave, if you even decide. So if you decide to go, you got to look back. Whether you have the strength to continue forward or not, you got to continue looking forward. And then you're going to spend a great deal of your time planning with spirit. A lot of the times, spirit is going to let you knock on every door and figure it out on your own. So you have to not be afraid of failing. Don't think about foolproof plans. You got to fail your way there. This is how everything works. You don't get to skip that part. So a lot of times you fail. It doesn't work. And then what do? We give up. We give up moving forward because it's like, I tried this, it didn't work. I called this person, it didn't work. I reported it 3 times, it didn't work. And then you settle in. No, you keep moving forward. You never stop going. You make plans because you got to give the spirit something to bless. You're telling spirit you want to get out of gang stalking. Did you make your police reports? Because there are 2 dimensions here. There's the real world and then there's the spiritual world. Did you make your police reports? Do you have your facts? Have you investigated anything? Do you know who people are? What kind of work have you done on the physical? Okay, I'm sick. They're making me sick. Okay, do you eat good food? Do you work out? Do you take care of yourself? And it's the same thing that I always say is that, give me a second here. You can't say, I'm a Christian and because I pray, or I'm religious and because I pray, I don't take medication. You need the medication as well as the prayers. The prayers sweeten the medication, how it's going to work. The prayers make the results better. That's what it's for. It's for sweetening. It's not for abracadabra. You got to do the work. I want a loving relationship. Amazing. Spirit would love to grant that to you. Are you lovable? Are you in a place? Are you married right now? Oh shoot, you got to get a divorce. Because you're not. What kind of good relationship do you want while you're married? You're creating chaos. I want to be clean. You can't be around junkies anymore. I don't want to be, burdened with this and that. Well, you got to make the changes. I don't want to be gang stalked anymore. You got to stop hyperfixating on it. You got to start not just imagining it, but feeling, living, practicing. How is it to be this type of person? I want great friends, but you're toxic. I want people to like me. You're not likable. It has to work together. The kind of results that you get when you do the work is incomparable. The alignment with spirit, working with the spirit world properly. Working with the spirit world properly, plus doing the work, the real life work. The work is the part that's not easy because everybody wants a get rich quick scheme. And nothing works this way in reality. Anytime, oh God, this is a lot. Anytime you get one of these get rich quick schemes, or it's a trap. No one gives that to you for free. It's a trap. Whether it's an entity that promises it, whether it's a human being, a society, anything, it's a trap. They have to be gaining something from it. In business, this is how it works honestly. When an honest business person comes to you, they say, this is what I want to buy it from you for. You say, oh, but it costed me this. They're going to say, well, I need to make some profit on it too. Because it's realistic. You really expect they're going to buy it from you and sell it at a loss? You got to be realistic. So now you got to talk numbers. People that come and they make unrealistic deals and things that you're not seeing the full picture, and sweet deals where it's too good to be true, It is because the rest of the profit is coming from you. It's a blank check. No favors in this life. You must understand, no favors. Don't take advantage of people, because people take advantage of people who take advantage of people. So I remember in the beginning, somebody would come and say, oh, let me style your place for next to nothing and let me buy you things. In what world does that happen? You got to pay people more than they ask. You got to repay people back whatever they gave, so you can always say, I owe you nothing, and move around. And energetically, there is no debt. It is important when you find yourself in this situation that you are trapped, that you're losing everything, that you don't know what's going on. And now, in a sense, it's kind of like being a junkie where you are out of control of yourself, out of control of your life, at the whim of others. When you find yourself in that situation, you need help. This is why I always say you cannot get out of gang stalking without a lot of assistance, a lot of spiritual assistance. People always talk about co-creation in a sense of, well, I want to buy this, I want to do that, I want to get this, I want to get that. That's like beginner level. Co-creation really is about, this is when you need co-creation. How do I get myself out of a tough spot? How do I get out of here? Spirit doesn't just come and get you out of anything. You do it together. It's two hands clapping together. It's one on the spiritual side and it's one in the physical. That one in the physical is yours. So you need to always make sure that you are doing the work needed. You find yourself spiritually, let's say, out in the cold. You're out of control of your life. They've really got you. They've trapped you. They're siphoning off of you. Just even saying the first prayer, beginning on this journey, is going to be tumultuous. It is going to be very aggressive right away. If you're one who's vocal like myself, people are going to want to make an example of you to show the others not to try. You got to be stronger than normal when it's going to be you and you alone, especially if you know how these people operate. So I describe the Holy Spirit. Let me make a distinction. God the Father, God the Mother. I've said this many times. God the Mother, God the Father is an energy that kind of just remains very high, and you have to elevate to meet this energy. You have to elevate to meet this energy. And I also find this to be an energy that it's not like he doesn't listen, but you know, it's almost like being asleep. It's like they're hearing the prayers, but he's not listening. So it's not like your prayers are not being heard necessarily. It's like not active listening. And it's like you got to know the difference between that. It's like somebody coming to you with nonsense and it's like, I hear you. That's kind of like the energy. Because again, spirits are conscious beings. So they understand how you are. You got to keep your word with spirits. That's number one. Don't tell spirits things and then you don't push forward and you don't keep your word, and then it's like, don't don't even go into spirituality with that kind of mindset, where if you have that mindset with human beings, then this spiritual walk is not the place to be doing things like this. But the Father energy doesn't come down to our level. It's like, that's why this energy is represented by the sun. It's up high, you know, and it's an energy that you have to do the work to reach. You have to do the work to reach this energy. The Mother energy, however, the Holy Ghost, this is the energy that will come and find you. This energy will come and find you in the pits of hell if that's what it takes. Wherever you are, she will fight for you. She will wait for you. She will be with you. But you also got to do the work to even come in contact with this energy. You got to do the work. And what is the work? Grooming your heart, grooming yourself. And we're human beings. We're susceptible to making mistakes. We're susceptible to not being the best version of ourselves. And one thing I can tell you about this energy that can make you feel better is that she understands. Even myself as a person, seeing things from a different perspective, even I understand. There are a lot of times where we have to groom a behavior, and we just have to continue taking steps towards grooming that behavior because we're trying our best. But she does understand, as a result of knowing what you're going through, knowing that you're going through difficult circumstances that are trying you, are pressuring you, are putting you in, a very compromised circumstance, that you're doing your best. And it's not to say that it's okay, but she's a very forgiving energy. She's a very understanding energy. It's the energy of a mother. And so you have to think about it in the sense where, and I always say, if you were to right now be faced with life in prison, the person that you should be able to think is going to be there 5 years later where everybody else has abandoned you is going to be your mother. You got to think of it like that. She will not leave unless you are taken care of. This is an energy you can go to sleep and rest assured that as long as you follow through on what you're being told, success is guaranteed. That's how mothers operate, because they don't quit, they don't stop. This is why it is essential to have also a connection with the mother energy, because people forget the mother energy. The fruitfulness around us, the trees that sprout up, spring that always shows up, that's the energy of creation. It is a joint partnership, let's say, between the earth and the sun. There's the sun, but everything else, every other part of creation is her. She is the protector of creation. So when you're out there spiritually in those spiritual streets by yourself, it's your mother who's there waiting for you to realize that she's been here the entire time and that she can get you out of here and you guys can do it together. She's already prepared a place for you, whether you know it or not. There's already a facility that has a deposit for you to get off of whatever it is that you're hooked on. It's already paid in full, not with some scummy deal where you're going to have to, be doing evil things to pay it back. It's not going to be in some scummy way where you work with lower entities and now all of a sudden you're chained to some nonsense where you cannot get out of it and your life is like falling apart, or something where it's like, okay, I'll give you this, but the technicality is that you can never be happy again, or you can never get love, or you're binded in some weird agreement. It's not going to be anything like that. It's not going to be anything like that. It's literally you finding the path to fulfillment, you finding your spirit guides, you finding your higher self. This is what it's about. And when you find yourself in the middle of that battle, it's not just, this is a different kind of spiritual relationship. It's not just, I'm in the middle of a tough battle and, I got to say 3 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers and what. It's not like that. It's like having a cheerleader that is saying every day to you, it's okay, you can do one more. You can do one more lap. You can do this, you could do that, you can push yourself, hold on, hang in there. It's an energy that knows what's best for you and encourages you to do what's best for you, encourages you to take the spiritual walk that you need to take. Give me a second here. Yes, y'all don't even understand how much sage and stuff I have to burn sometimes from time to time. I'm on being honest, this has to be life or death to be doing this. This can't be just ego. This is too much energy being expended and it's not working. It's either a mental illness or it's life or death, and it's probably both. So hold on, I gotta block this person from my channel once and for all because it's too much nonsense from this person all the time. Okay. As I was saying, I really hope that people take me seriously when I say, because this is what I have gone through myself. 2 years of spiritual warfare. 2 years of fighting energetically for my own freedom. 2 years of having to do exactly what I advise. 2 years of opening my mind, not just to energetic help, but energetic help in a way that I hadn't seen spiritual warfare to this degree before. And this is why I can confidently say to someone that this is real and that what you're going through, not only, listen, way more people are going through this than you think. Way more people are being subjected to this kind of abuse than you think. And it takes a very strong stomach and willpower to go through it and to remain committed. You gotta ignore a lot. You gotta ignore things that would make a normal person explode. But it's okay to grow into that person. It's okay to grow into the person because you have to grow into the person that you are becoming. You gotta grow into it. You're not going to just be this person overnight. You're not just gonna wake up. I spend a lot more time talking about, now anyway, talking about the person that you have to be to get out than I do even about the spiritual part yet, because you're not ready to handle the spirit part if you're not the appropriate person. There's no point in me telling you, pray, connect, blah, 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 all of this. There's no point, and you are mentally not ready. It's better to not start if you're not going to start correctly, I'm saying. You got to be ready to fight through everything that comes your way. When I was praying, God was saying you need strength. You need strength. Not, this is what is required of a spiritual warrior, is strength, determination, willpower. Not psychic, not astral projection, not all of that. Willpower and strength. Because everything is going to be thrown at you. Everything is going to come at you. You got to be able to walk. You know how they say talk the talk? You got to be able to walk the walk. You got to be able to not give up. You got to be able to keep striving. This is the most fundamental part of doing this. You got to have confidence in your beliefs in God, no matter what anybody says. You have to be able to be confident in what you're doing, what you're saying, no matter who laughs, because they're going to play these kind of games. You got to be able to keep doing what you're supposed to do when you know you're supposed to do it, regardless of if it's working or not, or if you see results or not. You don't see results when you just start working out. You got to keep going. That's how you get those results. You got to be diligent. You got to be patient. Everything follows the same rules. You got to be fearless. Fearless. You have to, your relationship with God, spirituality, this is personal. This is not religion where people gather in groups. It would be wonderful if it could be pure to gather in groups of people who think the same way. But spirituality, above all, is a personal journey. This body is your church. This is the vessel. This is the vessel of God. You gotta carry God. You have to be appropriate to carry God. You have to be appropriate to be aligned with this energy. It is not any special person, special being, the chosen one. This again comes from ego. You could be chosen all you want. You break spiritual law, you will face karma. This is for everybody. And I don't believe, this is my personal belief, that it should be for sale. The knowledge should not be gatekept because everybody needs it. And it's too simple to do. I haven't seen or heard of anything that they're doing that's that complex, especially when it's black magic. It's not. Do you know how easy it is to do some of this work that they're doing? Just Google it. It's intention, it's energy, it's imagination, it's visualization. That's all. That's all. That's the bulk of it. Maybe sometimes they have little things they do a little bit more complicated. It must be at this time. It must be in this place. It must be whatever. It's not rocket science. It's not like creating the universe in 7 days. Okay, it's easy stuff. I'm telling you this right now. If you can count to 100, you can do it. So, putting all of that aside, you have to make sure that those are the things that are important. Your discipline to adhere to your rituals, to your routines, your patience in storms. You got to be a rational person. When things don't go right, so you and your mother are trying to get out of a situation, and let's say the people selling you the drugs obviously do not want you to go to rehab. You by yourself, you bring in a certain amount of income every month. And so they're blocking you in every way. They threaten you. They threaten whoever's helping you. Would you turn around and blame the same mother that's trying to take you to rehab? Of course not. She's trying her best to help. But there are those that say, oh, well, if you didn't come and take me to rehab, this wouldn't have happened. I told you, leave me here. Wrong approach. This is the person who's helping you in this situation. So are your guides. They are here to help. They are here to carry you to your destiny. And so your allegiances need to be clear under any circumstance, in any weather. No matter what you see around you, no matter what people do, there should be no way that you should be mad at God. Whoever taught you guys that? Unlearn that. Unlearn that behavior. There is absolutely no reason ever that you should be mad at God. There is an issue with your expectations. The issue is not with how God works. And so we say things like God works in mysterious ways, but what it is we think in faulty ways, and the way God works doesn't pair up with that. And so a re-education is necessary to manage your expectations correctly. If you want quick results, go to black magic. You want instant results, go to black magic. But there is a price to pay, and it is a blank check, and you don't know what you're gonna have to give in return. People are like, oh, there's no karma. Yeah, there is. They're living it. They're living it. They're not gonna tell you. They're gonna hide the zombie bite because they want you to come in. They want to glamorize what they're doing. Nobody wants to admit that this was a horrible decision, that they were younger and they were influenced the wrong way, that they started playing with the wrong things. When you look at their life path, it's horrible, the kind of things that they've gone through. They know that. What they've had to do is adapt. They've had to steel themselves and adapt to a situation that is not fun. That is forever not going to be fun. And they're going to have to come back here and pay for that again. So it is important to understand spirituality from different sides. And I've meant to talk about this before. The left and the right hand side. When we talk about spirituality, people automatically think of the left hand side. And that is why nobody wants involvement with it. When you think about witchcraft, and you even hear the word witch, people don't want to align themselves with it. For myself, when I was waking up, I didn't want to align myself with that word. I thought it was dirty, especially, in the beginning, I was more open to it. And then when I started seeing the way people behave in the spiritual community, the things they were doing, I didn't want to align myself to that. I didn't want to be called that. I thought that was disgusting. I thought it was disgusting. And now that I've come to a place with on my spiritual walk where I know there's a differentiation between left-hand spirituality and right-hand spirituality, I understand a little bit more. I'm a little bit more open to the word, but I'm also aware of what people are going to think of it. Let me explain it a little bit better. Your left hand. The left-hand path is the dark path. It's dark magic. The left hand. On the left part of your body, this is where you house dark entities. This is the dark side. This is your shadow side. So this side must always be protected so that it is not possessed. Because these entities have no respect. They will possess. This is why on the left side, you're supposed to have protection crystals. They keep making people put sweetening crystals on the left side because they want that side to be sweetened so you're governed by those energies. The right hand path, this is it's like the angel on the shoulder. It's the light side of you. This is the side where you do need healing crystals. Well, you need healing on both sides and protection on both sides, but this is where you want to have sweetening sort of crystals, because this is what spirit, this will enhance your relationship with spirit. And when you have spiritual advisors that advise you opposite, this is a very good sign that you're working with a demonic entity operating as a teacher, as a fake leader. And I want to say I've experienced more fake leaders in this community than good. There are good leaders for sure that lead people to the right thing, but I've experienced so many fake leaders that literally prey on people in bad situations, that need advice, that need help, that scramble, and then they trap them, they entrap them. I think a bunch of these readers are entrapped themselves, to be honest with you, in something much bigger. Something that looks like a much bigger organization, kind of like how gang stalking looks. So, the left-hand path is an instant result path where you're writing a blank check. If you really think that sacrificing a chicken is enough to do a death spell, No, it's just delayed. The attention is just delayed. It's just delayed. You just haven't messed with the right person yet, but it's coming. The right person hasn't crossed your path yet, but it's coming. People who work with spirituality in a right hand path do not work in the same way, even if they have the same rituals or their rituals look alike. That's why people want to come and say, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, or that person doesn't want to know what they're talking about. Every relationship is personal with spirit. Spirit advises you the way that they want to advise you, even if it's different with other people or how other people do things. They want to make it like religion where it's all one. No, no. There are some things that, yes, are universal truths, but there's other things where spirit will advise you different ways. Let me tell you, when I talk about left and right hand, nobody taught me any of this stuff. This is all experience. When I had certain crystals on certain hands, it wouldn't stay on that hand. It was like my body was forcing me to take it off. I thought there was something wrong with the crystal. I cleansed every different way, and until I put it on the other hand, did it not settle in. That's what I mean by trial and error. Spirit can easily, I believe it doesn't have to be a gift for spirit to talk to you. There are people who have gifts of talking to all spirits, but if God wants to talk to you, God will talk to you. Nobody can stop that. Let me disabuse anybody of that idea that you could take away downloads or anything. Let me disabuse you. God doesn't care to talk to you in front of the people who are listening in, because God doesn't care. You're the one that wants to hide. You're the one that doesn't want them to see and whatever. God doesn't care. It was in the very beginning. I'm like, God, why are you saying this in front of them? What? I wouldn't play with these spirits at all. Don't play with spirits. They do things on purpose. They play on your energy on purpose. Don't ever think you outsmarted a spirit. It was all on purpose. It was in your face. They do it in slow motion. They don't even rush. They don't even rush. Left-hand path is for people who like to take things, life, destinies, all of that into their own hands. It works for a bit. It doesn't work forever. Even if you think you got away with it in this lifetime, you will have to pay for it eventually. You will come back into other lifetimes and you will pay for it. Your children will pay for it, but usually you pay for it either way. People know that. And people take it on the chin, whatever happens, to be honest with you. They take it on the chin. They know why it's happening. People that do dark magic, they just are not telling you. The harder they attack you, the more they're suffering and the more help they need. When it comes to the right hand path, this works with energy. This works with more of service. This works more so in a sense of relationship with spirit. This is why your character is the most important. This is why you need to groom yourself as a person. And what I mean by groom yourself is not just in front of people. Everybody does this in front of people. Oh, I wouldn't do this. I'm this type of person, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean behind closed doors with spirit. Spirit deals with energy. You have to have that heart. You have to be able to access universal love first. You cannot experience something that you cannot feel. If you cannot feel love, you cannot feel happiness, you cannot feel gratitude, you cannot feel appreciation, then you cannot experience these spirits, these energies. It's just that simple. You don't have the ability to feel love, then how are you going to feel them with you? It does, like, this is the blockage. This is the blockage. This is simple. You cannot experience universal love while you're practicing hurting other people, while you take money to hurt people, while you walk the left-hand path. You have blocked yourself from the light. You, I'm not going to say that anybody cannot come back. I don't know how people are going to experience it, but I do know this is inner work. Inner work. All of this is inner work. The last few lives I've done, it's been more about inner work than talking about with spirit. If I jump right into spirit, it's like a get out of gang stalking quick sort of like hack. And that's not what this is at all. You're looking at just gang stalking. You're looking at leaving here. But let me tell you, when you're being driven to rehab, when you get to rehab, they're not just weaning you off of the drugs. They want to talk about why you take drugs. They're going to spend a lot of time talking about why are you on drugs? Why was this necessary for you to do? Why is it necessary for you to be on drugs? And the issue is probably not going to be something that happened a year ago. It could be something traumatic, but more than likely, it's probably something stemming from childhood. It's something deep-seated. It's a pain that hasn't been healed. It's something that keeps rearing its head in different ways. It's something that has gotten a life of its own. That is what's impeding you from your light, from going to where you want to go. And this is why you got to address situations at the root. So when you're leaving gang stalking and you're working with God and these energies and your spirit guides, and they sit you down and they allow gang stalkers to isolate you, and they allow everything to be removed from your path, all the distractions, all the things that you weren't doing, they sit you down and they say, why did you get gang stalked? How did this happen? How did you allow this to happen to you? And you're going to say, but I didn't allow it because these people came in and whatever. But they're going to say, but how did this happen? And accountability is always the first thing. And you got to be willing to be accountable. I'm a people pleaser. Did you know that you probably should not have been doing that? Yeah, but okay. They're not going to fight you. This is the thing about spirit. Spirit is not going to argue with you or fight with you. They're going to bring up a point and then they're going to stay very quiet while you justify and you deflect and you fight yourself and you get upset and you say it's not your fault, and on and on and on and on, until you finally come to the conclusion eventually, because you will. You're going to come to the conclusion, you're right, it is me. It technically is me. I did this. Because it's the truth. It's the truth. You are accountable for allowing this to happen in some way. I'm not saying this just for people out there. I also say this for myself. I own up to a measure of accountability for the things that have happened. You're also going to find yourself in a situation where Spirit's going to say, on top of the behaviors that you had that led up to this, what are the things that you haven't healed, that you're still lugging around years later, that you're still carrying, that are going to stop you from true happiness, that are going to be burdens? And you're going to have to address the deep-seated stuff. When I say you got to do the work, you got to do the work. And for me, I had a mother wound. I was still carrying around being upset with my mother. And that was something that I had to work through. And to be honest with you, let me tell you, healing things with spirit is not like healing things on your own. When you heal things on your own, that can take a long time. You need years of therapy. It's very expensive, all of this, right? It's triggering to like relive the stories. Spirit just may explain something to you or put you in a situation where a light bulb goes off and it's instantaneous and you're like, whoa. And what I have found about a lot of the things that happen to us, if not all, is that it doesn't have anything to do with us, but we internalize it. And so when I looked at the situation with my mother, it didn't have anything to do with me. I just internalized it. I internalized her behavior. It had more to do with her, and not just to do with her, but it was to do with her suffering. And so she transferred her suffering. It's like being gang stalked is kind of like that. People are suffering and they'd like to transfer their suffering to you. They may not look at it like that, but if you dig deep enough, you'll see that that's the case. That's what's happening here. A lot of the times, things that are happening to you, people that are envious, that's a them issue. That's internal. That's an internal thing that they have to look at. But they will transfer that pain to other people, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by not wanting people to experience something that they feel like they can't experience, or that they're not experiencing because they're not willing to do the work. And everybody's work is different depending on how you lived your life. Some people's work, it's easier than other people. Some people have way more work to do. And for some people, it might feel insurmountable. But when it comes to healing your life, when it comes to undoing or removing yourself from situations that you found yourself in, it requires untying knots. And so it requires doing the work. Energetically, you can't fake. It's not like where you present something to a person, you can fool them for a bit. It's like spiritually going to spirit. Spirit knows when you're full of it. You will get zero results. It's not possible. You won't even be able to access this energy without doing the work. So when you think that gang stalking is literally just about like I say, turning off your phone and ducking and diving, no, it's energy work. It's energy grooming. It's not fun stuff. Healing is very trying, very exhausting, but I can tell you this. I walked around every day feeling normal, feeling like myself, you'd want to say. And as soon as I healed that mother wound, I felt so light. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been carrying this so long, I didn't even realize how heavy this was. And I couldn't like see how it was affecting my day-to-day life. I thought everything was normal. I still can't really pinpoint how it's been affecting my day-to-day life. I still, at this point, I couldn't tell you how it's been affecting it. But all I can say is I just felt lighter instantly, and it just made sense. She did her best in a situation that maybe she wasn't prepared for, who knows? And it just made sense to me. It just made sense. And it was like, I couldn't even be mad. Like, how can I be mad at that? That's usually what it boils down to in the case of forgiving people. And you do have to understand, it takes putting yourself in the other person's shoes to be able to forgive them, to try to understand. And the forgiveness has nothing to do with reconnection, has nothing to do with, it's just relieving yourself of a burden. That's it. It has absolutely nothing to do with any of the things that we think it has to do with. Nothing. That's another thing I had to learn. This journey did not feel like what I thought it was going to feel like. The enemy that I felt like I was fighting was not necessarily the enemy that I was fighting. It's like, I'm not going to say it was myself that I was the enemy, but a lot of times you're pushing against yourself. You're pushing against your own reactions. You're pushing against your lack of willpower, your lack of faith, your lack of patience. You're pushing against your not listening to your intuition. It's yourself. It's you versus you always. It's always you versus you. And it's not to say that there's not an external antagonistic force. Of course there is. But you address that by addressing yourself, not addressing what's attacking you. By addressing yourself, grooming yourself, mastering yourself, you empower yourself to deal with the issue head on. It's not what people would expect, but it is how you get out of here. After you, not after, during, while, because God helps you through this. While dealing with all of that, working through all of that, then you're ready to leave gang stalking because you have become the person who is appropriate to catch these blessings that are yours. The reason they think a lot of times that they can take these blessings from you is because you are not the person who can walk this path. Not yet. You have to become the person who can walk that path. And you get to be that person because they're going to train you on how to do it. They are going to apply a level of adversity in your life that it would have probably taken a lifetime had this been doled out in smaller doses. It would have taken a long time for you to get out of all of this. You are basically getting all of it all at once, and they are grooming you for your future. And chances are whatever you're facing during gang stalking is going to be a part of your future. You're going to need all the lessons that you're facing here for the future. I have used everything that I have learned inside of gang stalking, all of the tough lessons that I've had to learn. I'm using all of it now. Every ounce, which means that had I not successfully completed that, I would have not known what to do, how to move forward, how to navigate problems, how to continue enduring, how to ignore things. I would not have known. You got to do the walk. You got to do the walk. After you groom yourself to a certain point, after you get to that point where your faith is where it's supposed to be, your willpower is where it's supposed to be, you believe in God blindly, blind faith. When you don't know how, you're like, you know what? I leave it to you. I leave it to you to figure it out, and you just do as you're told. When you get to that point that you feel strong enough, then you are ready to work with spirit on some of the more technical parts of what has to happen here. Because as you work with spirit, the attacks are going to intensify. And what you need at that point is your strength and your willpower and your blind faith to endure these persistent attacks that get worse. It gets worse and worse and worse before it gets better. If you think being attacked by one spiritualist is bad, imagine a coven. I had people in Mexico working on me night and day. Multiple. How do I know? How do we want to get into it? They went from country to country, groups in groups. Different people in your energy, in and out of my home, in and out of my space. You need strength. For multiple people on just you, you need strength. Trust me, you need strength. They're piling up. These people have candles burning night and day, probably multiple candles at a time on your head. They want everything to fall. No excuses. This is a walk that requires no excuses. I didn't do it because this is again, when we talk about spiritual rank, people think spiritual rank has to do with how many gifts you have and all of that, and how many entities can you carry and all of that. No. No. Spiritual rank is things like, how many excuses are you going to make? When you're given a task, You need to just fulfill it. Nobody is going to sit here and micromanage you getting this done. This is up to you. You gotta be, Spirit has to be able to trust you. They're not just trusting you with a fight, they're trusting you with gifts. They're trusting you with abilities. They need to give that to people who are willing to say, you know what? If there's nothing more I can do, I'm gonna die with my gifts. I'm not gonna allow anybody to take over me, to take it from me. Because this falling in the wrong hands is problematic. I gotta put myself in a position where I say, Spirit, it's okay, you could take me home because perhaps we can't do it this lifetime the way we wanted to. I could come home, but at least I'm coming home back with what you gave me. That is a much better solution than just giving up and letting this fall into the wrong hands. This is how you have to address it. When you send a soldier out to war, you don't want soldiers coming back and telling you why they couldn't get it done. You're a soldier, you gotta get back in the field when, and I don't know if I think I've said this before, when your wife back home has kids with somebody else, she's moved on, the letters have stopped coming, the supplies have stopped coming, new soldiers have stopped coming, your leg has been shot off, blown up, whatever the case is, soldiers do not have excuses. They just get it done. And if you can't get it done, that means you expired on your post. There is no such thing as the reason why. This is why you were trained. This is why they build up your mind as a soldier with your body. Why do you think when they're training soldiers, they do things like go under the bed with a white glove and pass their finger under it and show the soldier? Why do you think soldiers have to wake up at a certain time no matter what? Why do you think they're groomed with such strict discipline that there are no excuses? Because they need to have a very regimented mindset. Do or die. Do or die. That's what it takes also to go through these spiritual battles. These battles are do or die. So you can't be in a situation where you want something for nothing. You want to be relieved of this situation. You want the blessing of what comes after it. You want this destiny that everybody talks about, this spiritual inheritance that everybody talks about, all these things, and you're not able to carry it because you're going to make some next excuse. It doesn't work that way. This is the way that you must look at it. So whether you're a reader, whether you are a spiritual worker, when you wake up in the spirit, you always have to pass through your spiritual test. And your spiritual test is not short. It is not short. And everything takes a sacrifice to the spirit. Give and take, equal give and take. Equal give and take. So I'm going to end it by saying this. In your situation, you want to be let free. In your situation, you want to be given something that technically is maybe not due to you, but it is written for you to have it. Grooming yourself is not the sacrifice. Grooming yourself is what you need to do in order to get it done. So ask yourself, who or what in the situation is the sacrifice to the spirit in order for you to exit gang stalking or being trapped? What is your sacrifice to the spirit? Spirit wants something here. Spirit wants something. So if you want to get this, what are you going to give spirit in return? You see, on the opposite end, somebody's trying to sacrifice you to a spirit. I want you to think about that. There's a lot to think about, but this is very important. This is critical. What is your sacrifice to spirit? And I want you to be realistic with yourself. It's not a chicken. It's not burning a candle. It's not none of that. Be realistic. What is your offering to the spirit to say, I am worthy of what I ask for. I am worthy to be of service to you. Don't just think this is like the left hand where anybody can come and be of service and anybody can be. This is an initiation. This is an ascension. This is an ascension. So what are you bringing in? You got to do that work. You got to do that Christ walk. You got to endure, right? You got to stand in place for spirit. They got to be confident and sure that when they release this to you, they're never going to turn their back, but they got to not be worried like, oh man, what are you bringing to spirit to say, here, this is what I brought in exchange for you getting my destiny back for me. This is not a tit for tat situation where you had to go and say, hey, I want to sacrifice that person for their destiny. This is destiny retrieval here. You got to bring something. So you got to switch roles. You got to switch roles. Are you the hunter or the hunted? Are you the hunter or the hunted? Are you the dragon or are you the sheep? You got to be clear. Because if you're one of those scared of everything type of people, if you still have fear, if you're scared to charge forward, that's not a soldier. You can't be out here. Listen, I have to be careful of who I engage with because people can't fight. Not because of me. I don't care. I does as I pleases. It's because people can't handle what comes. People don't have discernment. People's eyes are not open. People are reading tarot for Jesus. People are doing witchcraft for Jesus in their mind. Can't be real. If you are not ready to live in 24/7 chaos, are you ready to be the president? If you're scared of bullets at the rally, are you ready to be the king? If you're scared of every meal in front of you being poisoned, are you ready to be a celebrity if you're scared of slander and you're going to address every stray dog? Are you ready to be a tarot reader if you cannot discern between who is invading your messages? Are you ready to carry the burden of what you want? Can you have a platform if you're going to spiral out of control while representing these kind of energies? Representation is important because you're not speaking for yourself. You're handling the other sheep and you've gotten distracted on your posts and sheep have scattered. And I'm not judging anybody because we are all human and we don't know, and sometimes we don't have the correct information. But what I am saying to you, all of this needs to be considered. Are you honestly ready to be a tarot reader if you don't spiritually protect yourself during the readings? If you're coming into the spiritual community, anything to do with the light, then you need to hyper focus on cleansing, cleansing, cleansing. The spiritual practice of cleansing is chapter 1. And I understand that you're working with spirit, but you got to use this. Because even if you can hear spirit, it is an initiation. They're not going to give you a manual. What good is that? Then anybody could do this. Spirit needs you to think on your own. Think on your feet. Use your head. Be careful. Use common sense. Walk a balance between never underestimating your enemy, but also not giving them so much credit that you're afraid of them. You must walk that fine line. And you must also use your own sense. This is a very classy environment. This is not a scummy environment. When you're in very classy places, how do people behave? You go to a very classy place or a home of classy people. Do you come empty-handed to their home for dinner? No. You walk with a bottle of wine, and the bottle of wine you walk with says everything about you. Do you go and buy a $10 bottle of wine, or do you buy something maybe $75? The way you approach a woman who you have respect for is quite different than any old, somebody else, you might try to sleep with them right away. But when you realize that you're dealing with a very classy person, maybe you might walk with some nice roses. You go take a damn shower, you look good, you present yourself a certain way. You must approach this situation in a dignified manner because of who you are approaching. It's the same way in the spirit world. Spirit does not need to ask you to show respect when you get here. Know your place. Spirit has extended all of this without asking for anything. So what are you going to extend? Naturally, somebody of class, seeing what kind of environment this is, that people just lay spreads out for you and say, please have a seat. You don't come empty-handed. It's nice to give an offering every day. You should keep them close and all of that. But what does spirit want? Have you ever asked spirit, what do you want? It's a consciousness. What do you want? Are you having a good day? Am I performing in a way that is pleasing to you? Do I need to fix anything? Do I need to tighten up anything? Everything is me, 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 me. Spirit's always in service of me, 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 me. But what do you offer? What makes you valuable and worthy of this work? What makes you a good investment? Because this is work. To get you out of gang stalking is going to be some work. There's a lot in the background when you're doing this correctly. There are a lot of entities in the background contributing. So are you on a joint mission here? Or is this just so that you can get some money and you can be rich? Or you can get a platform, or you can get some fame, or you can get whatever? What is this for? Because this has to be mutually beneficial for this amount of work. This is a lot of work. Your ancestors are involved here. Spirit guides, angelic forces, all kinds of entities are involved here. What do they get out of it? There has to be something. There has to be a higher good. There has to be a collective purpose. This is the right-hand path. This is how this side works. It is important to communicate that before we start talking about spirit, 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 the help that's going to come. Address yourself and address your mind. These energies here are very classy energies. So, you know where I come from. When we go to someone's home, we bring something. We don't go empty-handed. Less, of course, they're going to discuss you after you leave. Like, when you get there and you feel like they have overextended themselves, you start refusing. I don't feel comfortable. Oh no, don't worry about it. Oh no, it's okay. Because this is how it works in very classy environments. Someone's gonna say, oh, let me this and oh, let me that. But you're like, no, it's okay. It's not necessary. Have some grace. You ever been around somebody and it's like they take, and it's like at one point, are they gonna say no? And then they go so far as to now start expecting it, and not just start expecting it, but even asking, giving an attitude when they're not offered, giving attitude when they don't get something, emotionally holding it against you. That's how you get cut out of very beneficial establishments. These kind of nice places are the places you want to be, but you bring your street mentality to it and wonder why they can smell you from the garage, from the driveway, that they don't want you back here. No more play dates with your kids, none of the above. It doesn't matter if you have the house next door that is the same price or even more than theirs. You're not the same caliber. You're not the same caliber. You do not have a prosperous attitude. It's a thieving attitude. It's not a prosperous attitude. It's not something where things grow, where things blossom. There's not an appreciation for people. So once you're a user, you become a loser. It's hand in hand. It's the same thing. That's how you lose the best of the best and get stuck with crap. So you come into this spiritual environment, you want to deal with prosperous energies, you must walk with something, you offer before they even ask, because it is only polite. It is only a show of appreciation. It is only a show of good grace, because this is how you want to be in a give environment. You give the Spirit gives you. You give the Spirit. Listen, you're not perfect. You are going to forget sometimes to pray. You're going to forget to ask. You're going to forget for things. It would be wonderful if spirits just show up for you. And contrary to people's belief, spirits do just show up for you without you asking, without you even remembering that you know them. You only remember that you know them when they show up and they feel familiar to you. You have no idea that you were even. Spirits owe people. Human beings don't pay their debts. Spirits don't work that way. This is why spirits are wonderful to work with. Do you want you? I prefer a whole bunch of spiritual relations and not many humans, to be honest, because human beings are so fickle. I prefer spiritual relationships. Spirits do not forget. Spirits take debts seriously. And you got to explain things to spirits as well, because you're a consciousness, they're a consciousness. Don't just expect all the time. You say, well, wait, they know. No, explain yourself. Like, listen, I can't do it now for whatever reason, but I'm going to get it done. It is important to keep your word with spirit. It is important to bring spirit the sacrifice, the offering in your situation. It is important to keep your end of a bargain that you didn't even know that you had made or going to make. I know that sounds like, well, how would I know? Because use your conscience. Use your head in this thing. You want to get out of something this crazy? What do you do? Think about it. What do you do when you sacrifice a chicken? Is it not a life? Is it not something that you bring? So it's up to you in your situation to go in the spirit and think about what is of equal value to your request and offer it. The prayers every day and the offerings on the altar and all of that, that's not it. That's why people sacrifice people. People who sacrifice people understand equal give and take to a spirit. They understand that they're going to a spirit, asking a spirit for a very big job. And in order to do so, they brought you as the sacrifice. Reverse engineer the situation and make a wise choice. I'm going to read a spirit message card. See, I had something to talk about for the longest time. I keep not talking about it. Sometimes I feel like the things that I have to talk about are premature and I have to talk about other things instead. What's this one? So these are some of my favorite cards, spirit message cards. Messages from spirit. So this one says, have more faith in yourself. Be proud of how you're navigating every curveball that life throws at you. How you deal with those times shows your true inner resilience. Nothing can break that. That in itself is an inspiration for others. Keep shining your light. This is gonna send you so many curveballs, I swear to God. You have no idea. Getting out is way more difficult than getting in, and it's worth it. Every step of it is worth it. Another consideration, because another card came out, you are not moving too slowly. Drop the self-induced pressure. You are at the sweet spot between taking care of yourself and still making advancements on your goals. On this path, there is no such thing as being behind. Smile, breathe, and carry on. Being confident in the time that Spirit is taking to help you through your situation requires blind faith. You got to really be of the mindset that you're willing to go down with this ship. You have to be. You got to be willing to face any fall, whatever it takes, however it comes about. You got to remember, greater men than you were denied 1,000 times before they made a breakthrough. Take your time, be faithful, be unbreakable. When you are working with the right energies, time will always be on your side. Time is the father energy. That's the energy of the sun. It will be on your side. You want to see how time is on your side? Time will slow down for you. Time will speed up for your enemies. Time will stop working in people's lives. People will stop moving forward. That is time. It is important to work with the right energies. It is worth it. People cannot understand this. When the universe is on your side, there is no entity that can manipulate these things. This is why you must believe in the right thing and be groomed the right way with the proper information. Be careful when you seek advice outside of yourself. The universe is inside of you. Everything is already in there. The answers are already in here. You just have to find them. You have to work with yourself. The last card is, make sure you don't start seeing yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you. Never let a gang stalker influence the way you see yourself. Listen to nothing these people say. You need to know your worth even when others don't. You are not what people think of you. If you knew what God thinks of you and how much God loves you and how much God feels what you feel, you would make an effort to feel better. Your ancestors feel what you feel. So making a decision to be consciously happy, sometimes for me it's because I want them to be happy, and I don't want to know that I want them to enjoy this journey with me. I want them to feel good about what's going on, especially if they've gone through all this trouble along with me. So many cards just came out. Okay, you know what? I'm going to read the card of angelic connection. It's Angelite, and this is what it looks like. It's a baby blue stone. All of the blue stones to me always have to do with like anything psychic. So Angelite is the stone of enhanced awareness, and obviously it's a high vibrational stone because everything angelic always is. This stone is about heightening spiritual perception. This powerful stone facilitates angelic contact. It enhances telepathic communication and out-of-body journeying. You journey out of body whether you or not you know it, whether or not you're consciously aware or remember it, okay? Angelite opens psychic channeling from the highest sources. connecting to universal knowledge and raising awareness of multi-dimensional realms. It facilitates speaking your truth and being more passionate, accepting that which cannot be changed. A popular stone with healers, Angelite strengthens awareness and deepens attunement. It is able to create a protective auric shield, balance etheric and physical energies, and prevent psychic overwhelm, which is a real thing. On the body, it deals with thyroid, soft tissue, blood vessels, and fluid balance. And in the mind, it soothes stress, relieves tension, overcomes fear and anger, and fosters forgiveness. That is my message today. Please be strengthened and hopeful in your continual fight in getting out of. I make content for gang stalking victims, targeted individuals, and people trapped in being gang stalkers and trolls. Be strengthened in your fight against this thing that is, it's bigger than you, but it's not bigger than God by far. Many people have escaped. That is a fact, and that is the truth that they don't want you to know, to be aware of. Be strengthened in taking your first step. Prepare yourself to take your first step. Try to strategize and be smart, and don't go in the spirit empty-handed. Have a great day, and I just want you to know and remember always that God loves you. And you know, I can't say this for a fact for everyone, but I can't see why God wouldn't want souls to turn a new leaf if they haven't been living the right way. I can't see why God wouldn't want you to get back on your path. So don't let what you've done stop you thus far if you're truly willing to put in the work and turn a new leaf. And I'm not saying that to say that you're going to avoid karma and you're going to get out of it, but I just think that you can try. So have a great day, and remember, God loves you.